Week 3 Pick Ems. Last week went 11-5. We're 21-11 on the season. We're already kind of up there in the rankings, but this week is going to separate us from the rest of them. We're going to jump up as there's a lot of tough matchups, and I'm going to pick them all correctly. Let's hope so. Looking at the 5 games I got wrong from last week, honestly, none of them were even bad picks. Browns and Steelers had that wrong. The Steelers have no offense. The only reason they won was because their defense scored more points than their offense. Deshaun Watson, I am happy he lost. Been preying on his downfall. Finally paying off. 2019 Deshaun Watson is never walking through that door. My man's is washed. Broncos and Commanders. The Broncos blew a 21-3 lead at home against the Commanders in a Sam Howell-led offense. Could have had a Hail Mary to tie the game, but they lost in classic Broncos fashion. Chargers and Titans. Chargers had the ball first in overtime. Threw the game away. They lost to the Titans, now 0-2. Fire Brandon Staley. Lions, Seahawks. You know I had to pick my Lions. Defense blew it. And then the Packers, Falcons. Packers blew a 12-point lead in the fourth quarter to Desmond Ridder. Not thrilled about 11-5 from last week, but I'll take it. Didn't really have any bad picks where my pick got blown out. Starting off week 3, Thursday night football. Nobody's watching this shit. The Giants are taking on the 49ers in San Fran. I already know I'm still going to sit on my couch for 3.5 hours, watch this game, and then contemplate my life because there's no chance this is going to be a good game. I'm still going to watch it no matter how much I hate on it. There's just no chance Daniel Jones and the Giants stand a chance against Brock Purdy in this elite 49ers team. There's no free wins in the NFL unless you're the 49ers, and this is a free win. Giants were shut out by Dallas, struggled against the Cardinals. Now, I think the Cardinals aren't the worst team in the league like everyone projected them to be. I think that might be the Panthers, but still, they're not that good of a team. The Giants struggled. There's just no way they stand a chance against this elite defense, Brock Purdy. The 49ers are the best team in the NFL right now, and I'm taking them to win Thursday night. Starting out with the Sunday slate, Titans at Browns, and this is what I was talking about. These week 3 games are not going to be easy to predict. The Titans and Ryan Tannehill looking pretty good, 2-0. Cleveland, strong defense on offense now without Nick Chubb and Deshaun Watson under center. The majority of people have taken Cleveland. I understand why. They blew out the Bengals. They just had a close loss to Pittsburgh on Monday Night Football. However, I'm taking the Titans. Their offense is looking strong. Their defense is looking strong. Ryan Tannehill's throwing the ball good. Derrick Henry is still a beast. And for Cleveland, their team's pretty banged up with injuries from that Monday night loss against Pittsburgh. Their offense and Deshaun Watson are terrible. Deshaun Watson can't make a good throw to save his life. They're now without Nick Chubb. I think it's going to be a close game, but I think the Titans should definitely pull through for the dub. Second 1 o'clock game, the Falcons taking on the Lions in Detroit. I'm taking my Lions. It's going to be a tough one, though. There's a chance they definitely could lose this game. Their defense is beat up bad. Their offense is beat up a bit. It's going to be close. The Falcons 2-0, looking really solid. Bijan Robinson is an athlete. Tyler Algier, still solid. Desmond Ridder is even running the ball well. He's passing the ball really well. However, the Falcons defense isn't the strongest, but neither is Detroit's. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. It's going to be close, but I have my Lions pulling through with the dub for some revenge. A little comeback there after a tough loss. Both teams starting the season 2-1. Really nervous about this game. The Lions, though, hopefully they got that dog in them, coming out on Sunday, wanting revenge for their tough loss against Seattle. Come on, guys. You got this, right? And I swear I'm not being biased with my pick there. I truly do think the Lions will win this game, but I am extremely nervous. The Packers hosting the Saints. The Packers haven't really played a strong defense yet this season. I think New Orleans is definitely going to be a test for them as they have a decent defense. The Bears and Falcons don't have a super strong defense. They played well up until the fourth quarter of the Falcons game. Aaron Jones hopefully is back for the Packers and Christian Watson. But if they're not going to be 100% or close to 100%, you'd hope that the Packers still keep him out so they get a full recovery, because we see what's happening to Joe Burrow and his calf injury. The Saints defense played pretty well last year, playing well this year, didn't allow many points from the Panthers or Titans. However, the problem with the Saints is I feel like their offense isn't as solid as I'd like them to be. It did not look good really at all. Monday Night Football against the Panthers, they had some high moments, but they didn't really look solid or consistent. And for that reason, I'm going to take the Packers. I feel like the majority of people are taking the Saints to win this game. I'm taking the Packers for both these teams to start 2-1. It's at Lambeau Field, especially if Aaron Jones and Christian Watson are back. I think that'll help a lot. I just don't fully trust Derek Carr. He had some good throws, but he also had some really bad ones. The Broncos head into Miami to take on the Dolphins. A little bit of me wants to pick Russell Wilson for the upset. They've lost 2 close games. They're not the worst team in the world. However, it'd be hard to pick against Tua and the Dolphins. Tua's looking like the best QB in the NFL. Tyreek's on fire. Waddle's on fire. Offensively, the Dolphins are insane. It'd be hard to pick against them. And it'd be hard to pick Russell Wilson and trust that he can pull through and win a game. Vikings and Chargers, another tough game to pick. Both have high-scoring offenses, both 0-2. The Vikings had 7 turnovers in not even the first 7 quarters of their NFL season. The Chargers have had chances to win both their games, but have failed late in the 4th quarter and overtime. The majority of people have taken the Vikings by a small margin. I think it's going to be high scoring. Additionally, Austin Eckler is questionable, so that's good for the Vikings. I'm taking the Chargers though, just with how much the Vikings have hurt themselves with turnovers this year. I think they'll clean it up, but I think it's bound to happen at least once. And I'm taking the Chargers. I think it's going to be really high scoring. Both teams have struggled defensively. It's a hard one to pick. I'm taking Justin Herbert. The Jets hosting Bill Belichick's Patriots. Zach Wilson last week struggled against the Cowboys defense. The Jets defense struggled against the Cowboys offense. The Patriots 0-2, but they played the Dolphins close and the Eagles close in week 1. Another tough game to pick. As of now, I'm taking the Patriots. There's a chance I could change it before Sunday's game. I just feel like the Patriots are a more complete team than the Jets. And Zach Wilson has to go up against the Patriots defense. Christian Gonzalez had a big game last Sunday night. I think there will be chances for Zach Wilson to win games for the Jets down the road in later weeks, but I don't think he takes down the Patriots defense. And the Patriots win a low-scoring game. The Commanders hosting the Bills. Commanders playing pretty well, 2-0. They had a good win last week. It's not easy to win in Denver against a strong defense and Russell Wilson, who hasn't been playing the best. Good comeback for them, but last week the Bills reminded us why they are one of the best teams in the NFL right now. Their high-scoring offense and defense played very well. I think there's potential for this game to be relatively close as the Commanders have a decent defense and if Josh Allen starts throwing the ball to the wrong team, but I think the Bills have a solid win here. Jacksonville hosting Houston. Last week, the Jags and Trevor Lawrence struggled at home against KC. A lot of mistakes. Lost a low-scoring game. The Texans and CJ Stroud played all right. The game was out of reach pretty early, but CJ Stroud threw over 300 yards and threw the ball well. We could be in for a close game if CJ Stroud plays at his peak performance and Jacksonville continues to make mistakes as they did last week. However, I don't think that'll be the case. I think Jacksonville will come out, remind us that they have a strong offense, pretty solid defense, and will take the dub. The Ravens hosting the Colts. I predicted Lamar to beat the Bengals last week. Pretty proud of that prediction. Lamar's been throwing the ball really well. Their defense has been showing up. I have the Ravens winning this one. Anthony Richardson questionable as he went into concussion protocol last week. I think it's going to be low scoring, especially if Anthony Richardson doesn't play, but I think the Baltimore Ravens should easily win. Carolina head into Seattle to take on the Seahawks. Last week, Panthers took a tough loss against the Saints. Wasn't really even close. Offensively, the Panthers don't have a lot going for them. Bryce Young does have some good throws, but there's a lot of bad, a lot of sacks. I think there's upside with Bryce Young, but it's looking bleak for the Panthers right now. We'll see how their team continues to develop. Seattle last week stormed into Detroit, took the dub. Defense played well, and Geno Smith looked amazing. He did have a lot of wide open targets and zero pressure. Probably going to be the same type of thing. I think Seattle easily wins. Patrick Mahomes taking on Justin Fields in Arrowhead. Justin Fields had a few good glimpses last week, especially on the first drive, and he had a good touchdown throw later in the game. However, the rest of the game was classic. Not the best Justin Fields and just not the best Bears. For KC, we really haven't seen that strong offensive performance from Mahomes yet. It's only 2 weeks in, but still you'd like to see it, gain some confidence, remind everyone how good KC is. I'm taking the Chiefs to win here. Shouldn't be super close, but it could be. The Cardinals taking on the Cowboys in the desert. Yeah, not much to say about this one. Number 1 defense going up against one of the worst teams in the NFL right now. I'd be surprised if the Cardinals score more than 17 points. 17 would be a solid amount for him. Arizona's not looking like the worst though. They put up 16 points against the Commanders, pretty solid defense, 28 points against the Giants, should have won, blew a huge lead. They're not looking like the worst team in the NFL. I'd say that's probably the Panthers. Some people predicted the Cardinals to be winless this season. I don't think that's going to end up being the case. For Dallas, Dak Prescott hasn't thrown a pick yet this season. Let's hope that continues. He did have one that Sauce Gardner did drop though. The Steelers and Raiders on Sunday Night Football. We have to sit through another primetime game with Pittsburgh. There's no way I think that Las Vegas loses this game. Pittsburgh had zero offense against the Browns. Kenny Pickett's, not to be rude, but looked like utter garbage. Offensively, the Steelers do have some talent, but you'd hope for the Raiders that it's kind of a blowout with Josh Jacobs, Devontae Adams, and Jimmy G. But it's probably still going to end up being close because it's the Steelers and Mike Tomlin. Hopefully, the Raiders can pull out the dub. They're really going to need it. Now we're to Monday Night Football. And these Monday Night Football games, there's two again. They're going to be good. First one, the 2-0 Eagles taking on the 2-0 Buccaneers in Tampa. Baker Mayfield, Mike Evans, super strong connection there. The whole Buccaneers team is looking good offensively and defensively. For the Eagles, week 1 against the Patriots, little bit of a slow start, looked a bit rough. And then week 2 against the Vikings, ran all over them. Jalen Hurts aired it out a few times for some big receptions. It's going to be a battle, I think. This game's going to be really good. I'm picking the Eagles to win. They look better in week 2 than they did in week 1. I'm guessing they're going to be even better in week 3. However, I would not be surprised if the Bucs win. I think this is going to be a close game. It's going to be a battle. It helps that it's in Tampa. I'm excited to watch this one. And then for the last game of the week, the second Monday Night Football game, the Rams heading into Cincy to take on the Bengals at home for the Bengals. And I think the Bengals home crowd are going to witness the second loss of the season as the Bengals start the season 0-3. You can quote me here. The Rams are looking strong. Puka Nacua and Matthew Stafford, that connection is strong even without Cooper Kupp. The Rams offense overall is looking good. Their defense is looking strong even without star players. The Bengals honestly have nothing going for them. They got blown out by the Browns, destroyed by the Ravens. Joe Burrow, some really bad interceptions. It was a close game, but I felt like the Ravens were on top the whole time. Joe Burrow re-aggravated his calf injury. Surely he'll just get another haircut that will fix his performance issues. I'm joking, but Joe Burrow isn't playing that well. His confidence is low. His calf is slowing his mobility. It's hard to pick this Bengals team to win this game when the Rams are playing really well. They blew out the Seattle Seahawks. They hung with the 49ers. I think the Bengals lose this game. There are my week 3 picks. We're going 16-0 this week.